Will, talk to me.
ABC Tuesday.
They took his daughter. She's coming home alive.
Will Trent, the series critics are calling powerful must-see TV, continues to thrill.
Shouldn't we strategize before we go in there?
If we screw up this case, a cop killer walks free.
With the riveting conclusion to a 2-part season premiere.
GBI!
Help me!
Get down!
Will Trent, all new Tuesday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hey guys, welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, and up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and to continue as we wind down with the end of the year to welcome in an awesome new year, we're still going to have this marathon of people in my life and in the world that I find very inspirational, impactful, just awesome, dope-ass humans. And today is no different. I'm going to have my buddy Eian on, and we're just going to chat. You know, I've talked about Eian many times on this podcast in terms of like conversations we've had just about life in general. And he's also a creator, actor, and a multitude of other things. So I'll let him get into that with you guys. Also, too, if you like what you're listening to, head on over to the Bird Brain Podcast on iTunes, where you can subscribe, comment, and review. A little goes a long way. And we're just trying to reach the masses in a good way. You know, the world needs more of that. So, yeah, a little bit goes a long way. You can follow us on Instagram. I always forget. You can follow us on Instagram at the Bird Brain Podcast, Twitter, the Bird Brain Podcast. And you can become a patron, patreon.com/the Bird Brain Podcast, and different tiers, different rewards. And yeah, goes a long way. And also on YouTube, I'll be posting more videos and all the good things on YouTube as time continues on. And if you want to get some merch, head on over to the Bird Brain Podcast store. I'll drop that link in the bio of this episode. But beyond that, stay tuned, take some notes, get comfortable, and just be ready to listen to a pretty solid ass conversation. All right, stay tuned.
Rise above it all. Stay elevated and create that infinity. Up your you. Up your you.
Guys, what's going on? Happy hump day. Today is Wednesday, right? Yeah, something like that. The days are all blurring, and honestly, this year has felt like one long ass week, and it's been crazy, but I think the blessing to come out of it is, one way or another, we've all kind of been exploring just life, whether it's been in a collective way or on a personal level. And, my buddy Eian, who I'll be talking to today, he's no different. He's a very good soul, just one of the humans that I enjoy, just connecting with in any capacity, whether it's in person or just over the phone. Solid dude, very creative, very brilliant. And, he's going to be on the episode today, and we're just going to chat, and you guys get to experience, one of the people that I'm grateful to call a friend, and even more so a brother. So, without further ado, Eian, what's up, brother?
Hello.
How are you, dude?
I'm very well, man. How are you doing? You sound good.
I feel okay. It's been crazy. It's been crazy, I think, with the weather, and also too, just like making sure I'm keeping myself healthy. So yeah, how about yourself? What's been good in your world?
Oh man, well, I recently took it upon myself to travel.
Yes.
So I went from LA to Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And I'm hanging out with my dad, and it's been good. I've been here about a week now, and I'm kind of settling into the rhythm.
Okay.
Of being in a new place, having my my bones be chilled
Yeah.
once again.
I was gonna say it's a much different, like in terms of temperature. I think it's very different in Chicago versus LA. Although LA has been pretty chilly. I've gotten soft since being out here. So
Well, it does, yeah, because you're a New Jersey boy. So
yeah.
Yeah, you think you don't know how soft you become.
Right. Until you're in the mix, dude. How about you give them a little backstory, like, just who you are before I like brag about you. I'd rather you do it, and any parts you leave out, I'll fill in.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know where to begin. Just
Okay.
tell me where to begin.
Just so where do we start? So I think
one day,
right. The skies opened up, and
Yeah, no.
God just was like, let me gift the world real quick, and let me give them
One
Ian.
day I remember becoming conscious.
Yes. Come on now.
Like, I don't remember anything before a certain part of my life.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
my earliest memory, I was standing on the stairs. I think I was 2.
Yeah.
Because my dad was going to work. And the reason I remember this is because I said, "Hey, Dad." He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How old are you?" And he said, 38. I said, "How old am I?" He said, 2. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "Work." And I was like, "Okay." So that was it. And it just locked. So that's my earliest memory.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's relevant.
Yeah.
Or if anybody cares about
Right. Well, you know what?
having your first memory. I think that's kind of like, do you remember your first memory?
Yeah. It's funny because I'd say one of my first memories was around 2 as well, but mine was a little bit more traumatic. I got like a pretty sick injury on my hand, and
Whoa.
now I call it like the hand of truth, or like the God hand. But it's just like this scar that's on my hand, and I got it when I was 2 years old. And yeah, I remember it pretty vividly. And it's like, yeah, I'd say that's like my first memory that I could think of. But like my memory is pretty solid. It's scary sometimes, and we're both actors, so yeah, we can talk about that. But we're both actors, so I think our memory has to be on par anyway, just because we got to remember a whole bunch of lines all the damn time. You know what I'm saying?
You remember lines, dude?
Yeah, you do that? What? I have the script written on my hand, cheat sheet, bro. Yeah, I think so yeah, let's start there. So you're an actor, right? Yeah, I mean, we can skate this one. Go.
I'm a human actor.
You're a human actor, right? A human liar.
I'm a guy who acts.
Yes.
Reacts.
I'm an actor of the theater, but you're also a musician.
Yes, I act upon my impulses.
Oh wow, that's deep.
Yeah, okay, all right. So I'll stop being silly. Yeah, I'm an actor. Or I try to do my best to study the craft, the art, the arts in general, man. Like, yeah.
You're an artist.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to fancy myself one. I guess I call myself an artist.
Right. As you should. You are what you do, and you are what you commit yourself to, and you do the thing, so you are.
Yeah. The reason that I'm always sort of kind of get silly and like permeable with things like this is because I don't like clinging to identifications of things. Like, I don't, and I think you know this about me. Like, I try not to say like a lot.
Yeah, right.
No, I try not to say things that are like material and temporal. Yeah. I try not to attach to them. I like to attach to broad, ideas of like I am strong. I am, grateful, things like that, like affirmations. But when it comes to the world of identifications, I'm trying not to identify with these things that we just sort of for granted, and based upon like conditions that we just assign to ourselves, or we have assigned to them, and then we never think about it. We never process it.
Yeah.
And I guess like you could, people are taking that all over.
Right.
You can take that idea all over, but I don't know. It's weird when, people are like, "Oh, you're an actor." I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just a guy.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I agree, and not to cut you off, I agree with your statement. I think on a flip side, though, think about it this way. So, and I'm not sure if this was your experience, but starting out when I first started acting, the thing I would always say was like, yeah, I'm an aspiring actor, or I want to be this actor, one day. It was always like a pipe dream, you know what I'm saying? And I think when you are uncertain about, it's kind of like standing firm in who you are and what you do, like having some conviction behind it. So not necessarily for other people, but so subconsciously you understand, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Not in a sense of like labels or titles, but just reminding yourself, hey, be sure of who you are and what it is that you do and how you show up in the world, because that matters to you first. So as you navigate, you have a sense of you. And that could be anything. It could be like, I'm a butcher, or I'm a this, or I'm a shoemaker. It's not so much, how do I say it? Not in a superficial way. It's not a superficial kind of mindset, for me at least. It's more of a, hey, having conviction, because even for an extended period of time, when it came to writing, I was like, well, I can't consider myself a writer, although I have a bunch of stuff that I've written. I still didn't consider myself a writer because I was waiting for somebody else to say that I was a writer first. And also too, like the whole concept of, what was I going to say? The whole concept of like, and I think as actors, we're kind of reminded of this. You're not an actor until you've made it. Or, there was one time I was sitting at a table. I'll never forget. There was a table, me and the homies just chilling, and we were at dinner. And I think they were going around asking questions, and they're like, "What do you do?" or whatever. And one of my buddies answered for me. He was like, "Oh yeah, he's an aspiring actor." I was like, No. I was like, I am an actor. I'm not aspiring anymore. And the reason why is because it's important to recognize, again, the effort that you make to be something or someone is not for naught, and it shouldn't be downplayed. So when I think of like, finally saying, hey, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm this, I'm a trainer, it's because, okay, I worked my ass off to be these things. It's not just like a title I'm throwing around. And as you know, and it's like, you work hard. So it's like, at the end of the day, what you commit yourself to and what you do and what you don't. It's not like you're out here saying, hey, yeah, I'm a chef. I'm a high class chef. And it's like,
one thing that I am.
It's like, I'm a chef, damn it. It's like, oh, what do you cook? Well, oatmeal, I mix some oatmeal and I just sprinkle a little cinnamon and potatoes, So I'm a chef. I am what I am. Yeah. But I think in that vein, there are people that are walking around saying that they're these things, and it's like, okay, what do you have to show for? And like I said, I think, and as I say this to myself, I say it to you, is like, yo, own your shit, because you work hard. And I think as creators, we're always in that space of identity anyway, just because a lot of times we base our success off of the next yes we get.
Dude, yeah, and that's something that I've had to work on. Of, hey, look, there's no affirmation that you need from anyone to let you know that you're doing a good job.
Right.
Because if you as an artist, if you work from a space of trying to please someone, or if you work from a space of trying to get somebody to give you the nod, your creation is inherently going to be sort of just missing part of the process that I think is important in creating something that's unique and whole, right, and expressive of who you really are. And that is obviously easier said than done, right? But that's really been something that I have been working towards and when you practice it, you notice you're like, oh man, like I'm seeking somebody's approval, you know, whether it's a parent or a friend. Like, you find yourself wanting somebody to say, hey, good job. You did a good job. And that's cool. I think we all need that as human beings. Yeah. On some level. Right. But I think it's the degree of which you sort of focus on that, you know, how much of, and I guess that's, you know, that's when, you know, bringing the ego into art, like what is the ego's place in art? Right. Does it have a place? You know, like some people would say absolutely not. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I kind of like, what would you say to that? I'm thinking about it now. I think the ego has a place, but it shouldn't have a position of power, if that makes sense. So it's like, the way I see it is like, you know, the ego could be like a stenographer in the room versus like the person that's calling all the shots. So it's like the ego is present for a conversation or present for things that are being delegated or deliberated, but the ego is not in the chair making the decisions. The reason being is because the ego is always going to be hungry, and the ego will constantly eat. The ego is basically, it has a tapeworm. That's how I like to think of the ego. It's always hungry. So it's like, tapeworm. Yeah, it's like, it's always going to be making decisions based off of how it gets fed. And the funny thing is it's never satiated. So, you know, and you know this, we both know this. And I think we've talked about like the concept of like the ego as, and I bring it back to acting just because a lot of people may not understand unless they are actors. Like, we are constantly wrestling with our ego, our self-esteem, our self-perception versus the outwardly perception, just how we exist and how we show up. The reason being is because we're walking into rooms constantly where we are told yes or no. And there are a lot of things that either have nothing to do with us or things that are based off of just like our makeup, things that we can't control. You know what I'm saying? So it's a constant like wrestling tug of war with like, oh, am I good enough or am I not this, or why didn't I get this, or that's not fair, this person got it. It's this constant mental dialogue that happens, and sometimes it can be destructive and it can take you out. And that's, I think, when the ego's making all the decisions, you know, and the ego is, again, is reckless and is very destructive. Death by comparison, man. Yes. You know, I think, you know, comparing your success to someone else and is like, look, case in point is like, okay, you're vegan. I'm a meat eater and I'm mad at your plate of food because mine doesn't look like that. Meanwhile, it's like, but that's not how I eat. So it's like, wait, why am I upset? And I think the same thing applies just in life too. Like, not to go off on a tangent, it's like, you know, sometimes people are not happy for your success. And meanwhile, it's like, wait, you're an accountant. I'm an actor. Why are you upset and butthurt by how I'm getting through life if I'm not taking food off of your table? And again, ego.
You know, that's the ego at play, because the ego's like, well, why don't I have this? It's like, you don't have this because you're fucking allergic. You know, it's like, you can't, like, you can't even eat what I eat because you're allergic to this. You stay away from this because this is not what you consume. This is not healthy for you, you know? So it's...
Yeah, I think you're peeling back another layer of psychology there.
Yeah.
You know, because, like, if you are upset, you know, about the way that somebody is eating, or it could be anything, then, like, one thing that I've been trying to practice is growing the awareness around that resentment or that feeling. Yeah. And saying, why am I feeling this way? Like, why am I upset right now at this? Like, okay, here's a great example. Leaf blowers. I cannot stand leaf blowers. Not people blowing leaves. Just the leaf blower in and of itself. Okay. It's got this noise, you know, and I'm like super sensitive to noise and sound. Yeah. Or sound and light. Yeah. And so this noise just rips my brain apart. Right. And then I'm like, dude, what is it even doing? It's not doing anything. It's just blowing things around. Yeah. And, you know, and then I go into, like, you know, how important leaves are for the soil and for the tree and for the surrounding environs and all that. And so I get upset, you know, on bad days. Like if I'm just not connected to myself and my breath and all that. And, I hear a leaf blower and I'm just like, I could break that leaf blower right now. And then I stop and I'm like, all right, stop. Yeah. Why am I so upset? Like, why do I want to go beat that guy with his own leaf blower? Right. Why is that leaf blower my arch nemesis right now? And, you know, I may not ever figure it out. Right. But, no, the resentment comes from my feeling of, it comes from an environmental place. Like, leave the leaves alone. Come on now. Let the leaves, leave them. Leave the leaves alone. I love that. Leave the leaves alone, man. Yeah. Don't rake them. Just let them be. They feed the soil. They help grow the nutrients. Like, they need to be there. And so the leaf blower, my resentment for the tool, the leaf blower, comes from a place of thinking that it doesn't belong. It's useless. Wow. That's why it upsets me. Okay. But I still get upset at it, and I can't, you know, I need to get to a place where I don't resent the existence of certain devices, strictly because they make me upset. You know, that's something that I have to process for myself, of not becoming upset when, you know, like if I'm trying to work on something and then a leaf blower goes off. Yes. Like, oh, here we go, man. Right. Here we go.
Dude, I have that same issue, and it's funny that you say that, because I've had the same issue when recording podcasts. And, you know, as you record music, you understand, like, the importance and priority of just, like, quiet. So whenever, like, there's a plane that goes overhead, or there's a car that speeds down the street, or there's just, like, noise, people yelling, screaming, and talking, like, it grinds me. And then I have to stop and realize, it's like, these people have no idea you exist. They don't even know what the hell you're doing in this moment. And you're mad at them because they're disrupting your peace. And it's like, but it has nothing to do with you. People are just living like you are living, and that bothers you. And it's like, I think a lot of times we make something a part of our home that's just not connected to it at all. Like, we implement it into our structure. In reality, it's just doing its own thing. You know, so that whole leave the leaves alone, I think is a cool concept, and it's funny because it's very easy when you break it down like that, how it applies to just life and how it applies to just people, places, and things. It's like, leave the leaves alone, because they're doing what they got to do to, you know, do whatever they need to for the environment. And it's like,
yeah, I mean,
it's crazy. I love that.
but that's like that, you know, and I think ultimately too, you know, the sort of the Buddhist concept of no one is making me angry.
Yeah.
I'm letting myself be bothered.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's
exactly.
like if there's storm clouds, if there's storm clouds and it's raining and it's cold and all that, it's like the weather doesn't suck.
Right.
It's the weather's not bad.
Yeah.
it is. My perception of it is it's bothering me. I'm letting it bother me. Yeah, I'm letting it bother me.
Yeah. Wow.
The fault is my own.
That's good, dude. Speaking of like, you know, just kind of like, you know, introspection and self-care, it's been a crazy year for all of us. Needless to say, how have you been like taking care of your mental health, and how much of a priority has your mental health been to you? Like what are certain things that you do? Because you talked about deep breathing. And I think a lot of people don't do that. I myself, sometimes I'm just sitting here and I'm like, why the hell am I so out of breath? And it's like, oh, because you're breathing shallow, because you are always in this kind of like fight or high tense space. So how have you been taking care of yourself this year, or just in general?
To touch on what you just said, that's it. Like because when I become irritable, I'm like, wait a minute, essentially it's like this. If my body just breathes on its own, and I'm never having moments of conscious breath,
right,
it's not good enough.
Right.
I'm not connected to my body. It means that my head and my mind are in a totally different space than my body.
Yeah.
And that disconnect is a rift that causes anxiety. That's what anxiety is to me. It's that rift between where your mind and where your body is.
Right. Absolutely.
So that is a concept in my life that I try to close that gap. And some days are really good. You know, sometimes weeks at a time, I'm super connected to everything,
right?
Meaning my body, and I have a lot of present moments throughout the day, and I feel really good.
Right.
And that directly impacts how irritable I am, how angry I become, the quality of work, my quality of sleep, all of this. So to answer your question, I focus a lot on my mental health because over the last, since I can remember, but definitely within the last 15 years or so, I've noticed that I take these troughs, and then I come back up and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling on top of the world and I can do anything. And then I kind of slide. And then there's days where I can't do anything at all.
Right.
I don't want to be seen by people. I don't want to go anywhere. And if I have to go somewhere, I want to be invisible.
Yeah.
It's a really strange feeling that I've been, trying to understand and ascertain within my own body, with my own being.
Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time trying to mitigate the amount of time that I spend in those troughs. When I drop down, because it used to last weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's lasted months before.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to get into like depressive states of being.
Exactly.
Not even like, like I'm having a bad day. It's like I've been depressed.
Yes.
Forever.
Yeah. When is this gonna end?
I try to take control of that the best I can.
Right.
By methods of sleeping well, And that's a whole box to open and unpack.
Yeah.
Because like, how do you sleep well? A lot of people are having trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful that I'm not one of them. I sleep very well.
You're lucky, bro.
What's that?
I envy you. You're lucky.
Well, I think part of it might be just the way that I am, but I know that part of it is because I do focus on eating what I consider to be healthy foods for my body and the environment.
Right.
Exercise.
Absolutely.
And trying to, I think one of the big things is I have before, in bed or right before bed, staring at a screen or multiple screens.
Right.
That to me is like, ugh.
Yeah.
I notice that my sleep is extremely affected by the amount of time I spend looking at a screen and its connection to the proximity of that screen time to my bedtime.
Got you. Okay.
So if I go right from the screen to bed, I'm not going to sleep as well.
So you kind of do like a debriefing almost, or like kind of, you take your time to wind down and then you go to sleep.
Yes.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's been a big thing because like I said, you mentioned, how are you working with your mental health and keeping yourself healthy and everything? And mental health, I mean, what else is there? Because if you're not mentally healthy, you're even if you are physically healthy, you're not going to be as physically healthy as you could be because you're not mentally healthy.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
The mind-body connection is it is thus.
It is right. It's exactly that. I think it's like you can't do one without the other. And we're both trainers, so I think you and I understand the concept of like even mobility, like how it affects, like how your mental health affects your mobility. Is like tightness in your back. That could be an indication of these things like tension, stress. Like stress, although like people are like, yeah, I'm stressed. I have such a laundry list of things to do. And it's like, yeah, but do you realize what it's doing to your physical body? And oftentimes people don't associate the two things with each other. So yeah, it's cool that you mentioned, the practical ways of taking care of your mental health, because I don't think that those things are talked about enough. People say sleep and it's like, all right, well, yeah, I just sleep 8 hours, but it's like, okay, are you at peace within those 8 hours? I know for me, it's like my mind, as soon as I go to lay down, my mind's like, all right, it's time to party. Let's do this. And it's like, all right.
Yeah, I've been there, man.
He's down. Oh, let's light this place up and let's just have a field day.
And I can hear people saying right now, because there's people that live in my head that say things.
Yeah, they talk a lot of shit, and it's like, not right now.
What they're saying, they're saying, well, I can't sleep, and that's what's hurting my mental health.
Right.
So what I have sort of developed for myself is I try to come up with processes for identifying things in my life that I don't need and asking myself what I do need. And if I can make myself available to the idea of change and adaptation. So what if I drink one less cup of coffee a day?
Right.
What happens? What if I stop eating so late in the day?
Right.
What if I stop drinking alcohol?
Yeah, what ifs?
That was a big one for me. I stopped drinking in May.
Congrats, dude.
Thanks, man. My life is different.
Yeah.
It's way better. That was something that took me a long time to wrap my head around. But finally I was like, let's start from a very clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that I have to say about alcohol
Mm-hmm.
is let's just say it's false.
Okay.
Because I would just make an excuse, right? I would make an excuse about why it's okay for me to drink alcohol.
Right.
Because socially it's normal and it's acceptable.
Yeah, right.
So for me, just to get to the point where I could consider saying, do I need this?
Mm-hmm.
What does my life look like if I don't have it? And what helped me find that answer was that when I looked back at my life, there wasn't more than maybe a month that I hadn't had a drink since I was 16.
Okay.
17. So that means from 16 to 29. No more than 1 month did I ever go without alcohol. So how could I truly understand myself and my consciousness and my body and my mind as an adult
Mm-hmm.
with that being, a hindrance upon me?
Absolutely. Right.
And that was a big thing. I was like, wow, well, if you position that logically, I can't say that I know. I can't say that I'm doing my very best, because ever since I was 16, I've never gone without a month, or I've never gone more than a month without alcohol.
Right. Right.
So until I can say I've gone 6 months without, or I've gone a year without, to be able to know, what am I like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Am I really like, how's it going to affect my sleep?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's those little
that,
things, man.
It really is, man. Like the little things, and that's, I don't know, if alcohol, I think, is a big thing. We when and some people have fine, the relationships, I would say, are normal. I knew very little people growing up. I knew almost no one that had a truly functioning relationship with alcohol. Truly.
Right.
I know a few people now, but it is the little things. It's the little things that stack up over time. And it's that way in art. It's that way in life. And that's part of what I try to understand and what I try to express in life and in art. Because my life in art is essentially me trying to understand what I'm capable of.
Right.
As a human being.
Right. Right. Again, and it all comes back to self. But yeah, I think it's in terms of just the artist's life. And I keep bringing it back to art, is because we spend a lot of time with ourselves. And I think this year for a lot of people has been a lot of self-time, and things come up, or like you figure out ways to just parent those things as they arise. And it's just what it is, it's definitely just what it is. But yeah, we're wrapping up anyway, but I wanted to, so before we leave here, what is your favorite movie?
Whoa. Putting me on
the spot. Let's do it.
My favorite movie, dude?
Yes. Favorite movie.
Oh, dude. I feel like there's so many good movies out there. Like I just recently spent some time watching some like older ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and say The Godfather, because it really is probably my favorite movie.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and be that guy.
Be that guy, say The Godfather for sure.
I'm gonna be that guy who says The Godfather. Like, I guess I could, and don't ask me to do this, but I could probably spit out 5-10 movies that I would just consider like they're all
okay.
They're all number one.
Give me your top five.
Dude, I just asked you not to.
You said you could do 10 or 15, so I was like, okay, let's split the difference. Let's do 5.
I know, but I also asked you not to ask me.
Dude, you opened yourself up for that.
You're right. So I recently watched some James Dean films, and I had never watched James Dean films. And I was pretty moved by East of Eden.
Okay.
I think it was Steinbeck who wrote the novel based on Cain and Abel.
Okay.
And yeah, I just thought it was cool. I just thought it was a good movie. I know I sound like a lame,
no, you're fine.
So that would be, I guess that would be another one. On the Waterfront.
Okay.
Let's see. What else have I? Oh, okay. So I can't remember the name. See, dude, like when sometimes with these things, my brain just decides not to work.
Yeah, it just shuts off. It's like I'm not going to perform today.
It's that way, and I can get on a roll once I get into that zone. But it's that way with albums too. Like people will be like, "What's your favorite music album?" And I'll be like, "Why'd you know?"
Yeah. People ask me, they're like, I just tell them straight up. They're like, "What's your favorite music or your favorite song?" I'm like, honestly, I don't. For music, I know I don't have. Like I listen to literally everything, so I don't have a favorite like album. I don't know if I ever listened to, and maybe this is like, shunned upon, but like for me, an artist, I'm just like, yo, I dance around. It's like I don't necessarily listen to the whole album, and I know like a lot of times there is a narrative and all this, but for me, I'm just like, I just go through different emotions and moods and thoughts. So it's like for me, I dance around. I really play hopscotch, and I like it better that way because I'm like, this feels good. I want to listen to this. I want to check this out. And I just go through the years like that. And yeah. So don't trip. Don't trip. It's all good. So you gave me 3.
That's when I trip most, is when people are like, what's your favorite? Actually, my favorite music albums, I'm pretty solid now.
Mm-hmm.
If people ask me that, I can rattle off 2 or 3, and I'm like, these are pretty awesome to me.
Yeah.
Movies, I still have like a hard time with. But yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it there. I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but I think you did well.
With one job.
You had one job, Isaiah, and you failed me. But dude, thank you so much for sitting with me and just sharing your heart with the world. And but more importantly, just thank you for being dope and, like I said, being a breath of fresh air and light in my life. And I hope the audience just understands a little bit more, the people that I've been collecting over the years and why. So thank you for being you, my guy.
Hey man, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. And thank you for being you too. Dude,
we mirror.
I really appreciate you.
Thank you,
and
man.
what you're doing. So that was, I always have fun talking to you, man.
Same.
So whether it's for podcasts or for fun, whatever.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, that's the tea. So guys, check out Eian. You can follow. I'll put in his IG. But like I said, he's a very talented guy, and he's an actor. So you guys can listen to him on the Blackout podcast. Is that what it was called?
Oh yeah.
Blackout.
Yeah, Rami Malek's Blackout.
Yes. So, and Eian is a voice on there. And like I said, you listen to podcasts. If you listen to Blackout, you've heard his voice, and just get familiar with this guy because you'll be seeing a lot more of him. So, yeah, guys, with that, have a good day. Eian and we're going to go have and enjoy our days, but breathe, take your time and breathe and, do the little things to take care of yourself if there's anything you take away. And don't let your ego be the one making decisions for everyone else involved. All right. That's the T. So guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Love you all. Take flight.